And to show you, if we go to our playbook, this is my playbook. Okay, this one is done. My readme is done for now. If you say I want to create a RG, okay, always I have a role to log into Azure where I'm passing the SP ID, tenant ID, certificate and certificate path to a role that is login Azure SP cert 01. Where it is present? It is present in the global core login Azure SP cert 01, and these are the tasks. Always when a role is called, it will be sent, the call will be sent with these variables to the main file in the task. Okay, and what we are doing here, we are doing the AZ login, service principal, username, password. I guess now the password is changed to -- certificate. Let's replace that with -- certificate. This is because I've recently last night updated the AZ CLI and should be with that. Okay, so we just replaced here. So the command is AZ login, service principal, username, and this. Okay. This is just to showcase that it is all automated. The login is automated. Now, I guess now you got the good understanding of creation. What is the folder structure first? What are the roles? What are the global roles? How do we create the certificate? How do we create the application? How do we create the SP? And how do we manually log in using the SP? I have another video which is how to create a SP, login with certificate. I'll just keep it above in I button, and I'll give it to you in the description as well. It is in depth, more than I cannot cover here. So now let's go back. Yes, now we are long way here to understand this project. My first playbook, if you understand Ansible, these are the plays, and here what I'm doing, roughly I chopped down my big plays into multiple playbook. One is create RG, create a resource group, create VNet, create subnet, create log workspace, create monitoring workspace, and eventually I'll be creating the Kubernetes. Okay, so let's go first. Create RG. What it does? Create RG. Let's go from the top. The format is almost common. I'm utilizing the host all. Host all is nothing but my local host. That means this playbook will run on my local host. So my task says first to include the global variable. What are the global variables? I have variable section, and here these are my global variable. Let me create this. Okay, my global variable to the side. It is just keeping the global variables here. Pull the global variables, then pull the regional variables. What are the regional variable? I'm giving it a stage. Where is the stage defined? It is defined in my inventory dev group all. What is the stage? It is dev. Okay, how do we select which particular stage? That is when we run the Ansible playbook command, there we'll understand. There we provide this stage variable which to use. So first I read all the global variables. Right now only have one, but there are many in the regional variables. I'm just printing these variables, just making sure that I'm reading the right variables, and then I'm calling my first role, that is login to Azure. We just saw we are sending the SPN ID app ID, that is identities.spn app ID. If you see that it's present in my regional roles, open to the right, I'll combine this, and this is my regional roles. Okay, identities.spn.appid.appid. So this is what I'm referring and passing as SPN ID. Tenant ID is my global variable .tenant ID, global variable .tenant ID. Certificate identities, that is identities.spn.certificate name. This is what I'm passing. Perfect. And the certificate path. Yes, this is very much important. Where is the certificate? Okay, it is in the playbook directory. Playbook directory is the Ansible variable. It's not defined by me. It is a runtime variable wherever this particular playbook will run, it will search from there. It will go one level top, that is it will go on this certificate folder, that is this is one level top, and here it will search in this certificate. Okay, and the name of the certificate is this. That's how the path is created. Okay, these are the 4 things that are passed to my role. What is my role? If I go in the global core login task main, open to the side here. Okay, and this is my role. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm just printing all my 4 variables that I've passed, and then I'm asserting is a good way always, and validating that these variables are defined, and if these variables are not defined, then I'll be sending an error message. The playbook will stop and say missing mandatory variables, and if all the variables are passed rightly, which we are doing, then the AZ login will occur. Okay, and it will register the output in this particular variable. Whatsoever the response out of this, it will register here, and then I'm just printing the output here and making sure I'm setting it into the Ansible built-in.set. In fact, this is a cache which Ansible maintains, so that if I want to send a variable in a cache in this particular Ansible project, then I keep it in a cache. In with what name? I'll be keeping the name as Azure Login result. This is the name, and this is the value that I'm keeping into it. Okay, I won't do anything about this output for now, but I'll just keep it in my cache. And once I'm logged in, then I'll be doing create resource group. What is create resource group? Another role. Okay, so we need to go here, and if you see, it is calling create rg01. This is the role, and this is the main file for it. If I click here, this is my main file. What it is doing, I am sending 3 variables. See, the format is same. Here as well we pass the variable. Here again we are passing few variables. The RG name, location, and tag. What is the RG name? If we go to our regional variables, I have the resource group 1 dot name. So this is my resource group name that I'm passing. Location is this, and the tags that I'm passing, this is particular tags. Okay, so if I come here, I'm just checking the 3 variables, asserting the 3 variables, and if all good, that I'm executing a command az group create, and I'm passing these 3 things. Okay, the name, the location, and pass. Once created, I'm printing the output, setting the fact in the cache with the name rg create, and just keeping it here. So yes, well, we just understood one particular playbook here. Okay, that is called from the infra complete. Now you got to understand the format here. Okay, now this format will keep repeating, okay, itself, because this is all we have. Let's see now. Let's boost your confidence more here. Let's create a vnet. Okay, we'll keep our 2 variables here. Let's create a vnet playbook, create vnet. Okay, format is simple. Host all. My first 2 tasks is to pull the variables. Now you know what this thing is doing. Printing the variables. Yes. Log into Azure. Again the same stuff. And now create the vnet. Okay, creating the vnet. All the variables which are set here. Okay. Cloud elements. What are the variables I'm passing? The name of the vnet. The group name is this one, the tags, and in the settings I'm passing the address prefix. Location, I'm passing it from here, and I'm asking in the cache put the output of this with the variable vnet1 underscore out. Okay, so let's go to this particular role. This role is in networking, create vnet, task, and here Okay, task main. Okay, now again, format simple, check mandatory variable, print variable, assert variable, check if resource already exists. This is interesting. What I'm doing, I told you Ansible is idempotent. That means if the resource already exists, it will not create it again and again. So that logic we are creating here. What we are doing is checking if the resource already existing. Is it network VNet show? We are listing whether this particular, if we have any entry of this VNet already created. If it is, I'm just registering it here and I'm creating a block here. The block says create non-existing resource. So when the resource exist is true, that means I don't have anything, then Azure network create. Okay, and if it is already present, this block, when exist is false, then I am updating the VNet with the AZ command, AZ network VNet update, and that I'll be registering here. And I make sure I disable the network watcher, because right now I don't want to use the network watcher, but it is a good practice in production to enable that. Okay, after that is done, I'm just setting the output variable VNet create. If updated, then the VNet updated. Those are registered here, VNet update or VNet create. Okay, this is how I am creating the VNet. Now let's go back to the infra. We have just created the VNet. Now let's go for creation of the subnet. Okay, the subnet creation is another playbook. Okay, what it is doing, again, pulling the variables, printing the variables, doing the Azure login, then it is printing the VNet details, because I want to make sure that the VNet is existing. I'm just printing that, and then I'm executing another role, create subnets. Okay, so in the network I have the create subnet. In that, always go and look for the main file, which is this one. Okay, so what it is doing, checking the mandatory variables. What are the two variables? Cloud element, that is subnet 1, this one, and the Ansible fact, output fact. Okay, so this subnet v1 is nothing but from the regional variable. This is subnet period 1. This is what I'm passing here. Okay, so in the main variable, I'm just making sure the entire variable, which includes the group name, tag name, setting, VNet name, subnet, and the list of subnet, the array of it is present. That I'm checking whether it is present or not. List the subnet. Here I'm utilizing a loop controller of Ansible, okay, where I'm looping for the subnets, because I want to create, there can be multiple subnets, right? I cannot have a fixed length of subnet creation, so I'm looping it for the subnets, and for each subnet in the list, in the array, I'm doing Azure Network VNet subnet create, and I'm passing the name of item. That means each time, first for this is item, this is the second item, this is the third iteration, third item. So for each time, I'm changing the name, address prefix, resource group is common, VNet name is common. So this is how the subnets will be created. This is, we are just preparing right now. This will just will fire once, and all the things will be created one after another. And that's the power of automation. As many times you want it, you can just keep creating the resources, okay, while having a coffee. Okay, that is created. And then we need to create a log workspace. Now you know the drill, what max can happen. I have the log workspace here. Okay, create log workspace. I'm pulling the two variables, printing the two variables, logging, creation of the log workspace. Here the cloud element include name, group name, tag, location, and Ansible fact var, which I am passing to the role create log workspace 001. Let's see this particular one, which is in my management, create log workspace 001. What it is doing, mandatory print assertion, and then AZ monitoring log analytics workspace create, and then I'm passing the resource group passed here, log workspace name. And what is this log workspace name and all this thing, where it is coming from? It is coming from here, log workspace name. Okay, so that's how the location is common, the tag is common, and this is getting cached. The output is cached in this particular variable. Okay, next we are creating the monitoring workspace. We'll see how the resources those we are creating are relevant to Kubernetes creation in just the last. Okay, so coming back to monitoring workspace, create monitoring workspace. Again, the same drill, pulling the variables, printing the variables, logging in, creating Azure monitor workspace. Again, nothing fancy here. I just made sure that I give the name here, and rest are the global variables or the regional variables that I'm passing, which I'm passing to create monitoring workspace 001. Where is this? Create monitoring workspace 001. Okay, check mandatory variables, assert. So this is using AZ monitoring account create. Okay, last one was different. This is monitoring account create, and here we are passing the variables that we have passed from here and storing the output over here. Okay, so this is how we'll be creating the monitoring workspace. Okay, now my last part, which is the important one for this particular video, is the creation of AKS. Yes, we are here. Okay, it was a long thing, but trust me, it is all worth when you are trying to automate things. If you want to do this manually, step by step, again and again, it will be frustrating for you. You'll be keep messing around with the variables that you wish to pass to each and every resource. I'll just showcase you how it is, right? This is the most complex playbook, okay? Because we are doing multiple things in this extra things in this. Okay, few things are common, that we are pulling the variables and we are printing it. We are logging. Okay, here we are printing the subnet and the subnet IDs, Ansible facts. Okay, what it is doing, it is pulling the subnet IDs. Okay, we have the subnet ID of 01. Why I am pulling the subnet ID? While creating the AKS, I wish to attach this AKS to a subnet so that it can connect to other resources which are connected inside a particular VNet. So for that, I need to extract at least one subnet ID. So which particular subnet ID I want? I want to have the subnet 0 name. So I wish to attach it to the subnet 0, which is subnet 0 is my 001. Okay, this one I want to attach the AKS with. So I want to extract the ID of it. How would I extract it? It is another role, get subnet ID 001. Right now we don't have the subnet created, right? But when this playbook will run in sequence, at that point we'll already have the subnet created. And how do we extract the ID of the subnet? In the network, get subnet ID task main. Okay, checking the variables. Okay, get subnet ID, AZ network vnet subnet show. Okay, the name of the subnet that we are passing, that is subnet 001, that will pass here eventually. Resource group name and vnet name that we are passing, and the output of it we are outputting as tsv. So this will give me a big subnet ID that I wish to extract. Here I got the subnet ID and I kept it somewhere inside the block. I'm making sure that the subnet ID I should have. If I don't have the subnet ID, then I should fail the playbook. Okay, it is very important for me. Like that, I'm getting the log analytics workspace ID. Okay, for that again I want to have a role created in the management, get log workspace ID. If you see this task main, now I'll just skip the assertion and this, AZ monitoring log analytics workspace show, and then I'm extracting the ID of it and I'm registering it here. Okay, so I'm making sure the log workspace ID is present, and again I am doing the assertion that I should have this ID, otherwise my playbook will fail. Same way I'm doing the get monitoring workspace ID. Okay, here you'll see get monitoring workspace ID main. Here I'm doing is it monitoring account show, querying the ID, and I'm passing it here. Okay, so I have my monitoring workspace ID and I'm making sure that I should have it, otherwise I'll fail this particular playbook. Okay, set AKS data collection setting. I have created this dictionary that is a object that I'll be eventually passing to a role which will create the AKS. For that, I'm setting few of the basic parameters. Interval is how frequently the data should be collected from the container and pushed it to log workspace. Namespace filtering, exclude namespace to exclude, enable container log v2. There was v1 previously, now everyone is using v2. And the stream Microsoft container log stream and perf that we are using. Why it is used? Because I want to create a data collection setting. Okay, what it will do, I'll showcase you guys next. Built-in path, role path, just printing that, ignore it. Okay, set cloud element. I'm creating this one will be passed to the create AKS. My name is aks.name, that is AKS1. Group name, tenant ID, tags we know. Admin group object ID. This is the ID of a group created in the Microsoft Entra ID. Total groups here. Okay, so these are my groups. So this is my Kubernetes admin group. There can be multiple users here. All the users of this group will be the admin into Kubernetes. And when I say the Kubernetes group ID, this is 1CF2 something, right? So that I'm passing 1CF2 and the reference I'm passing here. Okay, then the location. This one I guess you are cleared that these guys, whosoever will be part of this group, will be having the admin level access to this AKS. Okay, the location, the node count. Okay, the AKS node count and keeping one node count. So how many nodes I want to create in the node pool, that is the node count. Node resource group name. Okay, let me give you a background of this particular. When we are creating AKS, there are multiple resources are created in background. Eventually the node pools are nothing but the VMSs as you know it. Okay, and there are other subcomponents that are created while we are creating the AKS. So Azure itself creates another resource group and it gives all these other resources, those are the dependent resources which Azure created automatically to create that cluster. So the name of that resource group that Azure creates, we can send that name. So we are calling that name is node resource group name. I'm keeping the name node RG. Once it is created, we'll just validate that particular part. Node VM size, what should be the size of node? I'm just keeping the smallest one. Okay, that depend what kind of complex application you have, what is the workload for your application, that you need to calculate, and you need to keep the right one. Node pool name, I have the node pool name here, node pool 1. VNet subnet ID, yes, this is why we have extracted the subnet IDs. Above we have extracted the subnet ID, we have extracted the log workspace ID, we have extracted the monitoring workspace ID, and all those things we are passing in here. Okay, and we are also passing the data collection setting which we have just created here, this right? And this is to reduce the flow of logs which are passing from the AKS cluster to the log workspace. I don't want too many logs in my log workspace. First, it will drive me a very big chunk of cost, and secondly, these logs may not be useful for my dev and test purposes, right? I just want to concentrate on my application logs, and I only want those logs to be sent. So that's what I'm saying here. Just exclude all the logs that are getting from the pods from these particular namespaces inside the Kubernetes. Okay, so that's what it means. That is data connection setting. And then the monitoring workspace resource ID. So this is what it is. I'm just keeping a sleep cycle of 30 seconds because multiple resources created at this point. And then I am importing role create AKS and passing the entire object, this entire object inside the role. Now let's see what this particular role does. Let me open this here itself. Compute, containers, create role, task, main. Yeah, yes, these are many things, right? Okay, AZ AKS create. This is the AZ command. And you'll see many things here. Okay, let me just go through from top: mandatory variables, validation, role path checking, assertion, and then we come to the create AKS. AZ AKS create. I have the name, resource group, tier. Tier is free tier and the standard tier. Standard tier will cost you almost $70 while this video is getting recorded, but it comes with additional advantages like Microsoft will support you by many ways, and we can have some cost analysis and many other features in the standard tier. But right now we are just creating the free one, which is suffice for the dev and the test environments. AAD tenant ID is nothing but my Microsoft Intra tenant ID we already gone through. Admin group object ID I'm passing here. Enable AAD. Okay, let's concentrate here. There are multiple authorization in Kubernetes that we can set up. One is Kubernetes level authorization. That means a user can be created inside Kubernetes and have its own authorization set. I don't want that. I want all my authorizations to flow through Azure Active Directory or the Microsoft Entra ID, whichsoever you call it. Okay, so I'm doing enable AAD here, then enable Azure RBAC. That means my authentication and my authorization both will be done through Azure AD, and the RBAC will also be done through there. Okay, my location, my network plugin is KubeNet. There are multiple other plugins that we can use, but KubeNet is something that I've preferred for this particular demo. I don't have any network policies for now. The node count is the one I passed from here. Node resource group name is just nothing but my resource group name. VM size, whichever I passed from here. Node pool name I passed here. The node pool name here. VNet subnet ID already we have extracted and reached till here, so we have that. Workspace resource ID. Enable add-on monitoring. This is very much important when I want to enable monitoring and set the agent that will send the logs to the log workspace that we have created. Okay, this is interesting. When we are trying to pull the Kubernetes configuration using the --admin, then you'll get the admin credentials of the node pools. We don't want to utilize that. We want to block the --admin so that every RBAC will flow through the AD itself. That's why I'm disabling the local accounts as well. And then the data collection settings that I've passed, that is just bypassing few of the namespaces. Then the SSH key value. This is for the login. I need to have some login to make sure I can log into the nodes inside the node pool. So this is the certificate file that will be passed to those nodes, and I'll be legally using this particular authorization to log in inside the nodes because I have disabled the local authentication. Okay, and this is how it will be created. The AKS will be created, the output will be registered here. I'll be printing it and I'll be sending it back. And this completes the entire workflow of my playbook. Okay, creation of resource group, VNet, subnet, log workspace, monitoring workspace, and this.